Welcome to Pegwarmers. I'm Kevin, and I'm here to talk about toys. Today, we're doing Modern Toys 2. This is just an unboxing / mini reviews of a bunch of stuff that I've recently got. I did this once before, and people seem to enjoy it, and it gives me a chance to open up some of my stuff. I get behind real quickly, because when I do have free time to kind of interact with my toys and do my collecting stuff, I'm either trying to set up the toy room down here, or I'm making videos. And so I get behind real quick on actually getting to open up my toys and enjoy them. So I have stuff here from Masters of the Universe Origins. I have some of the new Indiana Jones retro figures. I have some G.I. Joe Classifieds. I have Power Rangers Lightning Collection and some McFarlane Superpowers toys to check out here. Since the retro Indiana Jones figures are new to me and the channel, let's check them out first. I own 1 or 2 vintage Indiana Jones figures. I did play with a few of them as a kid. Friends had them. I didn't see Indiana Jones as a real young kid. I was probably, 10 or 11 before I saw it, so the toys were long gone at that point. And I've just quite never gone back to try and track them down because the accessories are really hard to get. And so beyond, grabbing a couple of the characters naked, basically, I just never saw the real point. So now that they're doing the reissues, the retro reissues, it's kind of fun. I'm excited to pick them up. Maybe it's making me a little bit more interested in going back and getting some of those original ones, but I picked up 3. Let's check them out. First up, I've got Marion Ravenwood here, the female lead from the movie, the damsel in distress / girl who can handle her own. She has a soft goods dress on, and she comes with a plastic monkey figure accessory. Marion was in the first original series. I don't know if she came with the monkey in that one, or I don't know exactly how it worked. I know there was a slug figure of her that came with one of the play sets, and I'm pretty sure she had an individual figure back then. Very much has like the Princess Leia vibes from Kenner, of course, with the soft sculpted details and sort of just a generic girl action figure is what it looks like. The little lacy dress is kind of cool, and it's kind of fun that she comes with the monkey. The card backs are very thin. It seems to be the way Hasbro's going. It makes it hard to be a Minton card collector, but I want these guys loose. The last time I did one of these videos, I was carefully cutting the bubbles off everybody, but I've moved past that. If you saw my collecting cardboard episode, I'm really trying to get away from saving all the packaging. Alright, so she's got articulation at the arms, of course. She has articulation at the head, which is nice, because they could have skimped on that with the long hair. And she has articulation at... Whoa! What is going on here? Check this out. She is very ladylike. Her legs are crossed. That is straight out of the package. Her legs are super warped. I did not do anything with that. I will cut to a close-up of this. This is pretty ridiculous. The little elastic skirt piece can just be slid off. I mean, this is the way you would probably find this figure if you did find her in the wild. Missing the soft goods. Maybe that shows off those bent legs a little bit better. Next up, we got Belloc, and the cool thing about Belloc being carded here is that this was a mail-away figure originally, so one, this is a much easier shot to get a hold of this figure if you were always looking for him, but also if you wanted to have, like, the full line displayed carded, here's your shot at, like, having a placeholder carded Belloc. It's interesting how much soft goods these guys had, considering that Star Wars didn't really have a lot of soft goods. They did towards the end. And maybe that's what kind of led the way for the Indiana Jones guys to have the soft goods. He's got a permanently molded on turban. He's got a chest plate here, or necklace. And then the soft goods robe with a belt. Again, articulation 5 points. He has more than 5 points. I always forget the Indiana Jones guys had knee joints, or at least some of the male figures had knee joints. I think that was to help make them be able to ride the horses. So Indy had it, and they just kind of carried that forward with most of the figures. And then, of course, he has his staff accessory. This is a nice-looking figure, considering the basic level of detailing that these guys have. This little polka dot robe looks great. All right, so the third and final Indiana Jones figure I have to look at is not actually a true retro figure, but a retro-inspired figure. So this is a Kenner-style Temple of Doom Indiana Jones. I could not find the regular Indy at stores anywhere, but this wave, Indiana Jones and Short Round were released. So this is Indy without his leather jacket. His shirt's like mostly unbuttoned and one sleeve is missing. So this is mid-combat. This is battle-damaged Indiana Jones. Also, this wave, kind of notorious for the bubbles not really being glued on there well. Maybe not the best vintage Indy to have in my collection as the only Indy in my collection, because, you know, it's just sort of an unusual look for him here. But he's got his holster sculpted on his belt, or sculpted onto his leg. He's got the knee joints, as I mentioned before, hip joints, and his hips are made to splay out wide because these guys were made for the first movie to be able to sit on the horses. His arms are both bent slightly in action, one so he could like draw the pistol if it was the original version of the figure. He's got his machete here, which is super warped. And he's got that fedora, non-removable. There's the regular Raiders of the Lost Ark Indy. There's this one for Temple of Doom, and there's another one coming out for Holy Grail that has the satchel and everything. So I don't know which version is the best one to get. Since I don't have a vintage Indy in my collection, and this was the only one I could find, I decided to grab him just so that way I had some version of Indy in that vintage form factor in my collection. So while we're talking about Hasbro figures and warped figures, right, those Kenner Indiana Jones figures were made by Hasbro, I've got Lieutenant Falcon from the classified lines. This figure is kind of notorious for having an ugly face and having a warped shotgun. So I'm going to open them up and find out if mine is. So he has this little foot locker inside for his accessories. It's kind of an interesting way of packaging things. I'm pissed. I bought this figure off Amazon. I wish I was holding this better so you could 100% know I didn't mess with this. But I didn't mess with this. I just opened the box. There's a water bottle in here. And a headless Star Wars figure. Do I get any accessories? And I got the bag of accessories. I don't think this is Falcon's backpack. I don't even know what that is. Piece of plastic that looks like fabric. And another piece of plastic that looks like fabric. So I just got screwed by Hasbro's in-package cardboard windowless packaging. Came from Amazon that way. So this figure wasn't even messed around with at retail, or shouldn't have been. I don't even know what to say. Like I bit my tongue. Like wow. I kind of feel violated. Like that sucks. I don't even know what the process is to return this thing. So I hadn't planned on opening every figure I bought from Amazon. Basically, I missed a wave at one point with G.I. Joe Classifieds. There was a lot going on. There was a lot of money going out. We had just bought the house. And so I just kind of waited on the one wave, figuring I would, once kind of finances settled, I would order all these guys and just catch up. Normally I order stuff off Big Bad Toy Store. Never have a problem. So I went and picked up this wave through Amazon. Did this have the Amazon sticker on it? one of the figures did. Yeah, look, there's this like barcode on the top here. So I guess I got to open all of them to find out whether I got ripped off on any of the other ones. So I planned to open CoverGirl. She doesn't have a sticker on her. I guess I'll try and open them a little bit more nicely. Well, whatever. CoverGirl. This is the way it's supposed to happen. I'm really, like, deflated. That really, I mean, just takes the fun out of it. I'm shocked. I'm just shocked. I can't get over it because I've talked about it before. My buddy Chris Long and I from Long's Toys, we've talked about it on this channel before. About, the chances of that happening and whether it really happens and, how infrequent is it? You never think it's going to happen to you. Wow. It just is so weird. So weird. And I popped that open and saw a headless figure and a water bottle. Man. And that could be a Joe Fest right now if the school year was over. I hope everybody that's at Joe Fest is having a good time. I've been enjoying seeing the pictures from the show. Alright, so we got CoverGirl out of the package. She looks great. I really like this figure. Maybe a little bit too much makeup in the paint apps there for me. I mean, I get it. She's CoverGirl. She's a model, but she looks maybe a little bit too done up for my taste. For my action figure taste. She's got a shotgun here. Not the Falcon style shotgun. Why didn't they give Falcon this style shotgun? I don't know if you guys have seen the reviews of him or pictures of him, but his shotgun doesn't really match. It's more of a combat shotgun, even though the vintage figure had a more standard-looking shotgun. This just seems like it would have fit him well. She's got a tablet and a pistol, and she's got holsters here, so the pistol fits on that side, and the tablet can fit in this holster. She does have a loop on the back of her belt. Oh, there's one more thing here. She's got a wrench. A wrench goes in that loop. I'm glad that she had, like, an obvious spot to hang that, or I might have thrown that tissue paper out without finding it. Pretty cool figure. Interesting, she's got the backpack hole. Do all the classified guys have backpack holes? I don't think I've noticed it on all of them. I mean, I know some of them do, because some of them have backpacks. Anyway, she's got that. She's a pretty good-looking figure. So when I was picking out toys for this episode, I was choosing not to open Outback and Barbecue. But now that Falcon has been messed around with, I'm going to open both of these. These don't have the stickers, but Outback's box is kind of messed up, so it's got me a little nervous. Let's see what happens. The moment of truth. Do it on camera so nobody thinks I'm screwing around. Outback's there. All right. Oh, I was thinking that this was the Tiger Force Outback. It's the regular release, which is cool. Did you see the photo of Hooded Cobra Commander 788's Tiger Force Outback costume? It works pretty well for him. It's fun when people can cosplay as Joes. There's not really a perfect one for me. There's not too many characters that have full beards. And if I picked somebody like Frostbite, then I'd have to wear like a winter parka around a convention, which wouldn't go well. But it's nice if you have a character that your hair naturally fits with. He seems to have a lot of web gear. I mean, he needs a spot for his flashlight, and I guess he needs a spot for a pistol. Just something about it. The way it's like double straps and everything, it just looks very prominent. Now, I haven't opened the Tiger Force one, so maybe I would have noticed this on him. He's around here somewhere, I think. So he's got a decent amount of gear. Here's his flashlight. That's going to go in a little strap loop here. He's got a knife to put on his boot sheath. He's got a pistol that almost looks like a taser. That's going to go on his side here. He's got a large backpack that looks like you can hang his entrenching tool off of. He's got a cell phone or a magazine or something. I don't know where that goes. And he's got his his gun with the strap that's hard to put in his hand because of the darn non-flexible strap. Why did they make this mistake again? G.I. Joe fans know Outback's gun breaks and it's hard to put in his hand. And they decided to repeat the mistake. There's his gun. It's got a big old backpack here. It's hard to thread it through the web gear. Actually, if I thread it through the web gear and his back, it doesn't look good. It's actually better to just peg it into his back and let the web gear float on its own. Yeah, I don't know what to do with this little thing. I don't know what it is. I have the lights set up so you guys can see me, but it actually makes it hard for me to see things sometimes. I don't know if it's supposed to be a magazine. Oh, it's a magazine. It just goes in the bottom of the gun. Pretty sure. Oh, almost lost it. That strap is also making it really hard to put the magazine in the gun. I personally don't need the magazines to come out of the guns. If you're into that, I'm glad that they do that for you. For me, it just makes them one more little thing to lose, and I don't know. I don't need it. Outback. I'm far less worried about barbecue now that I've had 2 successful opens, but it's weird. Mad Marauder. Now, I didn't get a close-up of this package because I wasn't planning on filming this. Mad Marauder. This is their new copyright they're doing because they didn't want to call them Slaughter's Marauders, even though they have Sergeant Slaughter as part of the team now. I don't know. I'm not sure what's going on with that. So I have regular barbecue already. I could see skipping this guy if you're only collecting one version of everybody. But I always liked the Slaughter's Marauders figures, and actually Slaughter Marauder Barbecue was the version of barbecue I had as a kid, so had to pick this one up. I think there's also a toy show in Maryland today, the Timonium Maryland toy show. No, that might have been yesterday, actually. I take that back. That might have been yesterday. Yeah, I think that was yesterday. I mean, Joe Fest was all weekend. That Maryland toy show is always really good, but I was like triple booked yesterday. There was just no way I could go, but would have loved to have been there. All right, there's barbecue. Looking a little better here. We're going to open up his accessories. He's got his backpack. He's got his fire hose. He's got his little water squirter pistol. I think the squirter can hook on the back, which I think the vintage one does, right? Can hook the whole thing on the back. That way his 2 hands are free. He's got a holster. He's got a hook on his belt that to hold this little hatchet. He's got 2 axes, actually. A big axe and a little axe. The little axe is actually more accurate to his accessory from the original toy line. And it looks like I can hook that on there. Maybe I am supposed to put this in the holster on his leg. Does the big axe clip on the backpack? Is that how this works? That seems a little funny. Oh, yeah, it does. Alright, I guess that's the appropriate way to have him carry this gear. Mad Marauder Barbecue. Next up, let's talk McFarlane's Superpowers. I did a video about Wave 1 of these guys. It was one of the short mini videos I had released during my hiatus. Cool line. I love that they're sort of trying to continue with this tradition, making some new characters in that style. The first wave was more modern versions of those old figures, but now we're getting some new characters in this style. Of course, these guys don't have action features, but they look good on display with those figures. So this one's Nightwing. Nice to see Dick Grayson getting some respect in his adult superhero form. So the Superpowers figures here have basically similar articulation to the Indiana Jones figures, where they have what seems like 5 points of articulation, but they have the knees. So it's really 7 points of articulation. Very barrel-chested with the sculpt on these guys. I don't know if they're reusing chests at all. You know, how much part reusage there is. This is a very bulky Nightwing. And Nightwing could be a little skinnier. He is a former acrobat. Obviously, we don't want him to use like a teenage body, because this is an older version of him. And he comes with 2 billy clubs, which are appropriate accessories for him, but kind of boring accessories for him if you were a kid. And, oh, he's got sticks. Clock somebody on the side of the head. Deathstroke! Now, if you're a Teen Titans fan from the original cartoon, you know, Slade. Cool character. We were going to see him in the DCEU. Don't know what's going to happen with him now. Like, he kind of got introed, teased, but who knows. But it's very cool to get a figure of him, and the colors on him really pop with that bright orange. Alright, there he is out of the package. He's got the little ribbons blowing in the breeze there, so the The wind is always blowing on Deathstroke here. And he comes with a sword accessory. He has one accessory holding hand and one closed fist. The closed fists are pretty common in the original Superpowers line. His accessory holding hand is so tight, it's actually really tough to get this sword in there. I may have to... Also, the sword is really rubbery, so you can't really push with it. I may have to get in there and stretch out his hand. Sometimes with accessories or figures' hands, I'll slide something metal in there, like the blade of a pocket knife or something. Sometimes they do the non-bladed side of it. Slide in there and just kind of flex the thumb open a little wider. Seems like it's working with my fingernail here, but sometimes that's really hard to do with your fingernail. Once the accessory's in there, if it closes back up, that's okay. There we go. Now he's holding his sword. Neat to get a new character. I like the like chainmail-ish texture on him. Reminds me a little bit of the original Aquaman, who has the scale armor sculpted on him. I like it. Great to have another villain. And the last of the big DC Trinity, right? We had Batman, Superman in the first wave. We got Wonder Woman in this wave. I actually bought her so long ago. I didn't buy this wave all at once. I found them at Walmart one at a time. And I've actually bought 2 Wonder Womans because I forgot I found her. That's the bad thing about not opening my toys. When they sit down here in piles and I don't get to them, then I forget that I own them. Or I second guess myself. So I have another Wonder Woman. Maybe I'll return her, or maybe I'll just donate her to Toys for Tots this winter. But here she is. It's a nice looking figure. She's got a bright red cloth cape. The material feels nicer than the capes that came with the Wave 1 guys. Just a little bit less plasticky. I can't quite tell how it attaches around her neck. It seems like it's just a clip, and a pretty loose clip, but her hair kind of clamps it down, holds it on tight. I do think they're making her in a future wave with a different version of her cape, or a different color of her cape. She does not come with an accessory. She has no lasso of truth or anything like that, or the sword. Some versions of Wonder Woman has a sword. But she's got gauntlets that, like bigger gauntlets that make her seem like a more modern version of Wonder Woman. Also the really tall boots. But it's still kind of a classic-ish Wonder Woman. It's not super like Gal Gadot, super modern version, because she still has like the shorts instead of the like Roman style skirt. So you know, if you needed her to represent a more vintage Wonder Woman, you could probably yank that cape off and she'd be great. Power Rangers Lightning Collection. I have a bunch of Rangers here that should get opened, but I'm not putting them all in the video. They have too many accessories and too much stuff, and you know, do you want to see a couple Yellow Rangers, a Pink Ranger, and a Green Ranger get opened? Or do you just want Mesagog? I got 2 Rangers I'm featuring in this episode. Mesagog was the villain from Power Rangers Dino Thunder. This was a season that came on when I was in college that I caught a fair amount of. I was just shocked to see Tommy still on the show. Mesagog was a neat, like, animatronic mask, more able to emote than a lot of the Power Rangers. I had gone from like the 3 seasons of Mighty Morphin to this. I hadn't watched anything in between. So to see this was so impressive compared to like that old Goldar suit that just kind of flapped its jaw a little bit. Mesagog was pretty cool. I love the bad guys from Power Rangers. It's my favorite thing to collect from Power Rangers, even though I have lots of Ranger toys and lots of Zords and stuff. The monsters are my favorite. So when they do a foot soldier, or a leader, or a general in the Lightning Collection, makes me very excited. Now, the only Mesagog we got in the original run of Dino Thunder was almost a statue. He was a figure, I think he came with a vehicle or a playset or something like that. He was not a standard carded release, and so he was very limited. They did that for a couple years there. Rancic and Mesagog and a few other guys were just kind of brick figures, which is not fun, right? Oh my goodness. He's like all befuddled. His joints are all, like his foot won't stand, right? It's aimed down. And all his joints seem really tight. Oh, Harry got his elbow. I don't want to break him on camera here. Oh, there we go. Now he's starting to work. Starting to get things moving and clicking and popping. Might have to boil up some water and get him going. But Mesogog with the articulated jaw. I love it. Super cool looking. Anton Mercer. I think all his accessories might be other hands. Forget. Oh, and a lightning effect, because you have to have lightning effects in the lightning collection. So he's got a set of closed hands where he's not showing off his claws, which the closed hands kind of stink because they didn't paint his thumbnails. Whereas this version, he's got his nails on. There is a punching effect, I guess, that fits over his hand. So if you want to use this effect, then maybe you're not too worried about his fingernails not being painted. I just lost the lightning effect. And there's another little lightning effect here that you could have him hold in this hand, I guess. I'm excited. Really excited to have Mesogog in my collection. I can't wait to put him on my shelf with my Ranger villains. Blue Centurion. This is a deluxe figure. This is a figure from Power Rangers Turbo. He was kind of like a 6th Ranger. A less traditional extra Ranger, right? Like Robo Knight. We've had a few of these guys over the years that isn't like another teen that transforms. It's more of a specialized character. And Robo Knight's just a cool... Robo Knight. Blue Centurion has got a cool look to him. This is, to me, what I think a kid would think of if you told them the word RoboCop, right? He looks like a policeman that's a robot. He does have the traffic signal built into him, because he's Signal Man in the Sentai. I've been looking for this guy for a while. I had heard he went on clearance at one point at Target, and I missed him at a really good price. My buddy Tony from RetroCon has actually been looking for him for me, keeping his eye out for him at a good price. And then he was $20 on Amazon, so I just ordered him. Giant box to make you think there's a lot of value here. Closed box thing was so dumb. I'm glad it's over. Especially since I got messed over by it. There he is. He looks really great. The little translucent parts on him don't light up that well. It'd be nice if they were somehow light piped a little bit, so they could kind of glow. Work in his joints a little bit here. Ooh. So stiff. He's got double jointed elbows, but only the one side seems to want to move. But he looks fantastic. Accessories. I know he's got hands. I know he's got guns. I know he's got alternate holsters. So like many Power Ranger weapons in the show, a weapon can transform. So here's his blaster, and then it can like fold out to become a baton. An extra set of hands. He came with fists attached, but he has accessory holding hands. He's got a blast effect, because Lightning Collection loves blast effects. That pegs into the pistol. He's got his morpher, his little stoplight morpher there. And he's got alternate holsters. So these plates on his legs here, this was an interesting way of doing it. You can pop those out and plug in the holster. I gotta find which one goes on this side. You could drop the pistol in, so you can have him holster it on whichever side you need. I don't know that he needs 2 holsters. Oh, and I got one other really tiny little piece here. Oh, man. This is a tiny little thing. I gotta figure out what this goes to. I don't know if this plugs into his weapon, or plugs into the morpher, or plugs into his head. I am a little unsure about this little accessory. I'll have to do a little research. Try not to lose it. It's tiny. Alright, the last line I want to talk about in this episode is Masters of the Universe Origins. One of the best lines going on right now. It's modern recreations with additional articulation of the original Masters of the Universe toys. Really fun. I could go either way on it. There's no reason to collect it if you already have all the vintage stuff, but if you want really fun playable versions of the vintage figures that are, in a way, even better, it's a lot of fun. It does feel like recollecting things I've already collected, though, sometimes. So I kind of go back and forth on it, but I love how modern they are. Like, they're nicely articulated. They sometimes come with additional accessories. You can switch the heads around if need be. They stand great because the rubber bands aren't going bad inside the legs after all these years, right? Like the vintage ones. It's kind of a fun alternative. So first up, I've got Grizzlor. He came in a brown shipper box because this was one of those exclusives. Why they wouldn't sell him at retail, I don't know, because he's a pretty popular character. But anybody that has one of these releases through Mattel Creations, they get a little bit of additional card art. So we've got Grizzlor and She-Ra. She-Ra looks like she's in trouble there. And of course, also the Fright Zone playsets at the top there. She-Ra seems like she's missing something, like her tiara is gone. But she's, got her hands up like, oh, help me or stop. Very, very much like she's about to be overpowered. There's also, it looks like a little imp flying in the sky and Modulok. All right, so we get a mini comic, Trial of Grizzlor. It's got Adora in like a bride's dress, perhaps. I'm not taking time to read the comic for sure here or exactly here, but just paging through it quick. Maybe the character isn't She-Ra, but it seems like it is. I don't know. I'll have to check that out. Grizzlor was such a fun figure because he's got like actual fur. It's not like Beastman where he's just furry sculpt, but he's got this like fur skin over the action figure. And it doesn't cover everything, like his arms have the sculpted fur, his legs have the sculpted fur, but that main body it's just kind of fun. It's not necessarily scary, even though the Horde gets played up as sort of like the monsters. It just is almost sort of silly, but also fun. He comes with an axe. This is a reissued axe. This came with other figures in the line. Works well for Grizzlor. In 2000X, he had, some additional accessories. And then, of course, he comes with a Horde crossbow, because they all have to have their crossbows. I'm really glad I was able to pick this guy up. Next up, I've got a deluxe Origins figure. I've got Snakeface. Snakeface is definitely one of the later figures I picked up for my collection. He's a little harder to find. And here I've got the new version, the more playable version. The back of his package shows off Snakeface, Snake Tila, Snake Trooper, Dragon Blaster Skeletor, King Randor, the 2000X version, and Slamurai. I did not order every one. There have been so many Motu Origins figures kind of announced recently, I couldn't order everything. There just seemed to be too many coming out. I skipped Snake Tila. It's a cool concept, but I just don't really like how it's just paint details slapped on the Tila figure. If she had some new parts, then maybe I'd go for it, but just straight paint apps, not really my thing. I'm also not a huge fan of the Snake Trooper. I know that they were gonna release that as a figure, but I don't really get it, because the Horde is one thing and the Snake Men are another thing, and so kind of combining it just never quite made sense to me. So we've got the mini comic here. Viper's Vice. And it looks like Snakeface has turned King Randor to stone. We've got some other new characters in here, it looks like. Fangor's in here. Superman, or is He-Man powering up? I don't even know what's going on in this mini comic. Again, I'm not taking the time to read it. Just kind of paging through it. But seems like they're pushing the brand with the artwork and the mini comics a lot, which is great. It's definitely something that Toy Guru did when he was running the brand, and I think that the people running the brand now have definitely taken his lead and kind of followed it. They've done a lot of the same stuff that's been done in classics, either in Masterverse or Origins here. I think he did a pretty good job with the brand, and now they have it at retail, and they're using a lot of those same techniques here. He comes with a shield. He comes with a face with the snakes popping out. He's got a Snake Man staff. And there's good old Snakeface. Now, his chest is a little bit harder plastic than a lot of these guys because they did build something into his chest, which they don't do too much in this brand because they're trying to keep everything interchangeable, but he does have the flip-out chest snakes there. I don't know if that interferes with any of his swappability. His arms definitely come out. Some of these guys that have had... Oh, and his waist comes apart. Some of the guys that had the built-in chest features didn't have swappable arms. So I'm going to pop Snakeface's head off because the snake attack feature is kind of the cool version of him. Right? We want all the snakes popping out. Blah. I always thought the snake staffs were really hard to put in the guy's hands. It doesn't make a lot of sense the way it wraps around their hand. There we go. Geared up. The last figure I want to check out in this episode is Dragon Blaster Skeletor. This is a figure I did not have as a kid, but thought looked pretty cool. Saw the commercials for it and whatnot. Misting at the bad guys. I mean, it was Cobra Khan again, but in Skeletor format. They just kind of used the gimmick a second time. But the idea of having this like baby dragon shackled to Skeletor's back is just very interesting. I would have loved to have seen this in animation at some point. It doesn't seem like Skeletor comes with a whole lot of extra stuff, but he has an actual working action feature, and that's cool. And the interesting thing here, really, with the dragon is that the dragon is totally textured. So even the area that you might think is the chain isn't really a chain because it's the dragon's skin. They didn't clean it up at all. Still a little goofy like it was back in the day. Skeletor's got sort of a closed mouth smile look to him. He's got his chest plate. This is the first time getting like Dragon Blaster Skeletor with soft, flexible armor. Usually this is a hard piece. The backpack is a hard piece, very much like the vintage one. So I'm going to clamp the backpack on his back. I'm going to put this over his chest and plug in all the straps. See if we can get all this stuff to hook up right. This may be a frustrating activity. Actually, going pretty well. All right. Interesting how the dragon like kind of mists over his back. You can't turn the head, I don't think. The dragon head does... Oh, it does come off, so... Is it possible to have it aim a different way? Yeah, there we go. Now it's misting over this shoulder, which I think looks better. Alright, so Skeletor. You need a chain to go through the dragon's neck, through your chest plate. It's such an interesting idea. You know, they did this with the vintage figure, like him coming with a chain and having the dragon literally shackled to him. Put the shackle on. The shackle's a little tricky to put on because Skeletor has the little fins on his arm. And I don't know if it really showed it, but we're going to loop the chain through the lock. That leaves this other arm free to do the sword fighting, right? Only the one arm is shackled. Skeletor has the baby dragon chained to him. He-Man, I'll get you with my baby misting dragon. Guys, we looked at a lot of figures that I got recently. The Indiana Jones ones, I've never been that personally invested in them. Like I said, I didn't grow up with them, so I still probably would be okay if I had never picked them up. I'm really enjoying Origins. I love the playability of them, that they don't have the fragility of the old ones. I really enjoy G.I. Joe Classifieds, just because it's fun to get G.I. Joe in a new scale and more detail, except for when you get a headless Star Wars figure and a water bottle. In the comments below, please let me know which Star Wars figure I got. It's an Imperial officer that's wearing like a skirt. Is that accurate or is that like customized? Like I don't even know what this person shoved in this package for me. Alright guys, if you enjoyed this video, share it with a toy collecting friend, hit that like button, subscribe. If you want to support the channel further, you can always join us over on Patreon. I love having guys on the Discord for the second tier over there. I need to get a bit of content out, a little bonus content over there on Patreon real soon. I'm kind of behind on that. Thanks for hanging on the peg with me.